Hi everybody, welcome back to those of you who've been hanging with me some time, and welcome to those of you who are new to my channel. I'm Adele Levine, intuitive and medium. Bitches, I'm back. So yes, those of you who are new have no idea what I'm talking about, but I was in the hospital for a few weeks and been off of here for probably 3 weeks. And although I'm going to get more into a more personal side of the story on my Patreon, so if you're on there, go over there. I'll get deeper into the personal parts of it. But on here, I kind of wanted to talk about some things that it really became clear. Now, when I do videos from now on, the lessons I feel like I've learned during this time, I'm not going to say every time like this is what I learned at the hospital, whatever, because it just throws people who are finding my video, my channel for the first time a little off. And by the way, for those of you who've been watching some time, if you can support me and subscribe, and if you're new, subscribe and like, that'd be awesome. All right, so here's the deal. So I'm totally fine. Matter of fact, and like I said, I'll get into it a little more in depth on Patreon. I was in the hospital for a good amount of the time I was in. I would say about more than half of it was unnecessary. So what they thought might have been wrong was completely fine. And I had to Wonder Woman myself because someone called me Wonder Woman, and I was being very strong to self-advocate and be self-aware and tuned in intuitively to kind of assess, like, why am I here? Let me ask you some questions, and to pull myself through that, because a lot of times when you're in those experiences, you're afraid and people are telling you things. And I slipped down that rabbit hole for a bit, and I had to pull myself out of it. And being an intuitive, well, I say this because I'm like intuitive, quote, psychic, is, as I always say, the most important when you are in the trenches of life. We can all have self-awareness, an awakening, and enlightenment on top of a mountaintop, right? Where everything's peaceful. But when you are in the middle of probably one of your fears, because I've never been hospitalized besides giving birth in all my years, and you're going through that in that moment, and you're having things being told that you're not clear about, that is when you have to test your spiritual self, your physical self, psychological self, all of it, your mental health, to pull yourself up. But you definitely, I can tell you why I do this work is so that you can heavily rely on your own intuition, which is hard when you have people in white coats standing in front of you. And when I questioned things further and the answers were coming back in line of what I thought, and I was not needed to be there as long as I was being held there, and it was admitted, I pushed my way out. So that's the long and short of it. In a sense, I'm fully okay. The original reason why I went in there got taken care of. It's a very common thing that, let's just say, women go through, and maybe that's a comment on women's health needs to be a little better. I think that's a talk in the world. However, without rambling too much, what thought there was, and it could have been an issue, was not, it was a non-issue. So thank you guys so much for all your wonderful comments here and on Instagram, and I love all the love and support. Okay. Now, one of the things that the reason why I wanted to do this video about bridging, how important it is to bridge the gap between the living and the dead, because one of the things that became very clear to me when I went through this is that when we are at the precipice, when all of us humans at some point in our life are standing at the cliff of between life and death, one of our biggest fears is being forgotten or not being able to participate in this world anymore. You know, I came out of it with such a deep appreciation with the earthly realm and the idea of even having a sip of coffee or taking a walk or anything, and all the little things and how important it is. But I wanted to understand how, if you are going to be a grounded person, which is something we all have to strive for, and be of this world, how can that help us bridge, or why is it so important to bridge the gap into the spirit world? Because I've always understood the spirit world so clear. I can see the spirit world, I can hear them, I know what it looks like, I know what it feels like. But on the edge, when you are looking, staring down the possibility of your own immortality, not immortality, mortality, mortality is what we want, right? Our, and that is what I realized that stops people, I think, from really trying to dive deep into communicating and being aware of the spirit world. I came out of this, one of the top things is that how important it is for us to be grounded, and I'll do some videos on that. But mostly my work, my life's work of why I've wanted people to understand the world continues is because I just saw how clear, how we are not even close to paying attention to the spirit world, how we are so afraid of the spirit world and of our own mortality that we just, you know, watch TV and do our chores and do this, and we just go, okay, just going to keep being here. I don't have to think about that. And even if we've had losses, we kind of just don't want to see it as the people that we have lost are living amongst us and around us. So I feel like I was like, wow, the bridge between the worlds is bigger than I even realized. Because in my world, I work with people who are very interested in this, but on the big scale of things, we do tend to approach life here, that everything we're doing here in this world and what we're doing, it's all so important. What lipstick we wear, what, clothes we wear, what car we drive, our jobs, our this, our that, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is all very important, but we don't see how can we utilize that as creating something that we can make an impact onto mankind or spirit or our connection. But to go any further, we don't see that our living this life obviously is not going to be forever, and we will have to understand at some point the spirit world, meaning people are interested in this other world, but they're definitely hesitant, and how big that gap is a lot bigger than I realized. I kind of had this vision almost like this world is like spinning in space, not literally the earth, but I mean all of us are just kind of these big spaces disconnected from us, spinning around each other, but not really connecting. And I was like, if people can't do this, then how can they connect to the spirit world? Because the spirit world is much more connected. It has more gel in between, because on a intuitive and telepathic connection, they're able to speak to each other and be able to understand and feel each other. But their frustration with us just not being open to them was much bigger than I thought. So I'm sorry if it took me so long to get to the main point, but I was just trying to kind of paint a picture of my journey. I promise you I won't do this over and over in other videos. And I just kind of had these different steps of like, okay, grounded, being here, being of this world. But what does it have to do with the work I do, which I tend to be so dived into, which is the spirit world? And I said, it's the bridge. It's the bridge between the worlds that I've been desperately trying to mend, but I don't think I realized why people are so apprehensive. I know that sounds strange, but I've known it in a sense. Why are people so afraid? Why are people so resistant? Why won't they just open themselves up to believe there's this world or let themselves connect? And I think it has to do with their own fear of our own mortality. Tell me what you think in the comments below. What do you feel stops people from really wanting to be open to the concept of life after death, or that we continue in some form? The other thing that I realize is that this, not only is the spirit world so frustrated that we won't, and I've heard them tell me this many, many times, and I've spoke of it many times, but I really, really saw it their point of view. Imagine they're a part of this whole gang here. They're part of the club. They're part of everybody. And all of a sudden they pass on and everyone's like, okay, cool. Remember, Tony, he was cool or something. And, we talk about him and then really aren't really including that person into your life. So in other words, the vision I've always been shown is the ideal thing is to reach the, yes, I'm going to say Star Wars again, the idea of Star Wars, or even Harry Potter, to be fair, where the spirit world is just interacting with the living and nobody's freaking out. Nobody's upset. And they can help us, and we know they're helping us, and we're in communication, and they know they don't have a physical body anymore, and they can't feel touch or eat something, and they know there's a big difference into their life versus to our life. And I do feel that my work, and I just came out of it even stronger, that this is what I want to do more than anything, is to bridge this gap. Because if we bridge the gap and we took away the stigma and the fear and the idea of not being okay with maybe there's another part of us that exists in a different plane but coexists here. If I could help be a part of the movement of understanding that we can bridge the gap, then our fear of our own mortality and those we love would change. We would respect, just to kind of make it clear, and I want to wrap it up with this, we would respect the idea these are two different experiences. One shall not be glorified over the other. Completely two different experiences. And I think that's what I came out of it also very strongly understanding, that the experience in this world is just as important. Your everyday, getting up, drinking out of your favorite mug. I'm just so happy to be sitting here speaking to you and doing this and being able to be a part of the world with everyone else, good, bad, and the ugly, is just as important as the spirit world and what happens to us there. But the problem is they're very aware of us and are part of us, and we refuse to be a part of them. So there you have it. There's the beginning of a little bit of the tip of the iceberg of what I've come to understand. And I just want you to think about that, and please comment, because I love hearing from you guys. And definitely right now, I would love to hear from you since I've been absent so long. Thank you guys so much for waiting for me. With my thank you, I am giving you a 50% off of all readings. I'm calling it anew because I do feel anew. I feel like something has changed in me, especially my appreciation of this world and how important it is to be awake here. So go ahead and take advantage of that, because I'm running that for whenever I decide not to, because that's what I want to do. Because as much as I also realize how much I love the work I do. I always knew that, but it just flooded to me even more. I just needed to recharge. I'm also still doing the class. I redid a new date for this Saturday, the 30th, of practicing intuition, where you're going to be able to practice with each other. So this will be cool. I know you might be a little shy about it, but trust me, I used to do it this class for a million years, and I just want you guys to kind of see what you're capable of, because we need to bridge the worlds. Follow yourself. Follow no one. Listen to your inner voice. And damn it, I will see you soon.